Good evening and welcome to day 4 of a story a day for 26 days for the 2.6 challenge to raise funds for the Stroke Association. And welcome again to this little corner of my living room. I hope you have all had a good day. And I'm going to bring you a new story this evening, not one that I've worked with before. So yeah, once upon a time. That's how all good stories begin, so hopefully this will be a good story. Once upon a time, there was a man, and we join this man at a point where he is swimming for his life. We do not know where he came from, where he was going to, why he was on his journey across whichever ocean he was journeying across, but we do know that he was swimming for his life. And he was swimming to the best of his strength in order to reach the shore that he could see just almost within his reach. And as he dragged himself up onto this island, he turned and he looked back and saw the ship that he'd been on just disappearing, the very last bit of the ship disappearing beneath the waves. And he sunk down onto his knees and he didn't know whether to give praise to his gods for saving his life or to weep and wail, because here he was, as he looked around himself, on an apparently completely deserted island. Well, the first thing he did was rest. He was cold, he was wet, he dragged himself up the beach. And he had a little bag with him, just with a few possessions in it. He dragged this meagre set of possessions up the beach with him. He found the shade of a coconut tree, and he just zonked out for a while, just to rest, just to sleep. And once he'd woken up, got his bearings a little bit by walking around this island, sussing out the space that he was now going to be living in for hopefully not very long, but he didn't know how long it was going to be. And he worked out where the best vantage points were so that he could look out across the horizon to see if there was a ship coming. Perhaps someone would come and rescue him. And as the days passed, he gradually built himself a little hut out of driftwood and fronds of coconut tree. He learned to climb the coconut trees to gather coconuts to eat, and he learnt to use the husks of the coconut to weave a thatch for his little roof, for his little hut. And he started to get better at catching fish, and oh, he thanked his Lord that he had got in his little bag with him some matches that he'd kept wrapped in a plastic bag so he could make fire, he could cook. So all in all, things weren't looking too bad for him, apart from the fact that here he was, all alone on an island in the middle of nowhere. One day, he was roaming the island, gathering little bits and pieces that he could use. And he saw from the far corner of the island that he was in, when he looked back, he saw wisps of smoke curling up into the sky. And he ran, and he ran, and he ran as fast as he possibly could to get back to his hut, because he was so sure it was his hut that was burning. And when he got there, it was gone. It had gone up in flames, and he sank to his knees, and he just put his head in his hands and sobbed. All those meagre possessions that he'd got, all that he had made for himself here, had gone up in smoke just like that. And so he just curled up into a little ball near the remains of the fire that had been his home, and he slept for the night. And in the morning, he woke up to a strange noise. He couldn't place what it was. It wasn't the seagulls or the other birds that came to this island. It wasn't the usual quiet lapping the waves on the shore was something bigger, almost as if there were a boat, a ship, and he looked out across the water and he could see there was a ship, and the ship put down a dinghy, and the dinghy was rowing towards him, and the men on the dinghy, they picked him up and they took him to their ship. Oh, of course, now he was so thankful, he was so grateful. They fed him, they gave him drink, and when he was a bit calmer and just a little bit more even, he asked them, "How did you find me?" And they said, "We saw your smoke signal, and we came because we knew someone was there waiting for us." There we are. I bet he absolutely was full of praise for the fire at that point. Anyway, I leave you there this evening with that little story. Be back tomorrow with another one. Have a good evening. Bye bye now.